Endeavor.
Go ahead, Endeavor.
We're ready here on orbit. Are you ready for some football?
The Pittsburgh Steelers, named for the industry that was this city's lifeblood throughout the franchise's history, especially during their Steel Curtain dynasty of the 1970s. Ferocious defense has been their trademark.
You can't have success without defense in this league. You just can't do it. I think defense is the impetus for the whole ball club. It sets the tone, it sets the tempo. Football is physical. And if you play good defense, you're going to play physical.
The Steel City teams of the 70s left a legacy of great defense and Super Bowl trophies. Today's players are driven to become a part of that tradition.
I've been dreaming about Super Bowls ever since I was drafted by the Steelers.
For Greg Lloyd and today's Steelers to realize their Super Bowl dreams, they know a powerful defense must once again lead the way.
The biggest thing we want to show people is that when you play the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, you're going to get 11 guys flying through football for 60 minutes.
The hammer drops tonight as the Houston Oilers face the Pittsburgh Steelers on ABC's Monday Night Football. Well, it's Monday night and we're ready to rock. Time to catch all the hits, the bangs, and the flops. Two division rivals are gonna meet here. The Oilers and the Steelers are in full gear. We gotta get ready. We gotta get right. Monday Night Football's coming on tonight. So get ready. I mean, get ready. Are you ready for some football? A Monday night party. We got Frank and Al and Dan. They're gonna get it kick-started. Lynn and the crew's all set. The crowd is psyched. 'Cause all my rowdy friends are back for Monday night. Steel remains a part of the fabric of the city of Pittsburgh. A look at downtown Pittsburgh on a beautiful October evening, a perfect night for football. And football is also a part of the fabric of this city. Three Rivers Stadium, the home of the Steelers, who tonight will take on the Houston Oilers on Monday Night Football. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gifford with Al Michaels and Dan Dierdorf. Happy you're with us. Good Central Division matchup for you here in the AFC. The Cleveland Browns are off to a good start in this division. They're 4-1. Steelers come into tonight 2-2, and the Oilers are 1-3. The Steelers are shaky, as well have been the Oilers in the early going. They lost a tough one, did the Steelers, a week ago to Seattle, but you get a sense of this team that is all of a sudden starting to come together, and what better time to come together than on Monday night and against a division opponent. Meanwhile, the Houston Oilers are 1-3, off to another shaky start. A team hard hit in this first year of free agency. Warren Moon's gone to Minnesota, and Cody Carlson is trying to fill those big shoes, but it's also a team that's been devastated by injuries, Al, and a team, I'd say, in trouble.
Right now they are in trouble, Frank, in particular at running back, where Gary Brown is hurt. He went over 1,000 yards last year in barely more than half a season, but he has a twisted ankle and is probably out till the end of October. So Lorenzo White gets the start. Frank talked about Cody Carlson. Carlson taking over for Warren Moon. He's in his 8th year in the National Football League, yet this is only his 17th start. Defensively, this team is playing pretty well, good enough to win the division. Offensively, they have been extremely erratic. Tonight, they'll attempt to put it together for the first time this season, and it's a vital game if for no other reason than a look at the standings. The Browns 4-1. If the Oilers go to 1-4, they're already 3 back with 11 to play. So the Oilers, Dan, try to put their first complete game of the season together, much as the Pittsburgh Steelers do tonight.
Yeah, they haven't done it yet, Al. You're right about that. This is a team just can't seem to keep from falling behind. They have trailed in all 4 games that they've played this year by a minimum of 10 points and sometimes even by as many as 17 points. This is a team that's got to figure out that when you come out of the locker room, it's time to start playing. In 4 games, in the first quarter, a total of 3 points. In the third quarter coming out of the locker room, they have yet to score a point all season long. The Steelers need a complete ball game. Well, how do they do it against the Oilers? first of all, it's Barry Foster, and then it's Barry Foster, and then it's Barry Foster. One of the great running backs in the National Football League. Look for a full dose of him to be tossed at the Houston Oilers tonight.
And we will see Barry Foster immediately because the Pittsburgh Steelers have won the toss, and they have elected to receive, and Barry Foster with a 4.2 yards per carry average. Al Del Greco to kick off for the Oilers. Each team a bye week next week. Back deep, Rod Woodson, the great cornerback, named to the all-time NFL team, encompassing the 75-year history of the league recently. And Rod is back at the goal line. So a perfect night in Pittsburgh, just beautiful. Clear skies, full house, temperature in the upper 50s. And Al Del Greco approaches the football at the 30-yard line. The kick is angled, fielded by Woodson at the 12. And Rod brings it back out to the 30-yard line. An 18-yard run back for Rod Woodson. He is hit there by Marcus Robertson. Here comes Neil O'Donnell, coming off perhaps the worst performance of his career. Intercepted 4 times and made a lot of mistakes last week in Seattle. 4 TDs on the year, 5 picks. The great Foster with John L. Williams, the ex-Seahawk. Hastings and Charles Johnson, good-looking rookie from Colorado. Eric Green, the humongous tight end. Jackson Love, Dawson, one of the best in the league. Kalis and Searcy, the interior 5. And it's Barry Foster for a pickup of 7 after the 37-yard line. And the first play from scrimmage, Al Smith and Marcus Robertson make the stop. Take a look now at the Oilers, a base 4-3. Davidson, Childress, one of the best. Montgomery and Lathan now playing a down lineman position. Eddie Robinson with Al Smith in the middle and Michael Barrow on the outside. Chris Dishman loves to talk. Darrell Lewis, the other corner. Blaine Bishop and Marcus Robertson are the safeties. Bubba McDowell is hurt, so Bishop takes his spot and has been doing a good job. Second and a long 2. They give it to Foster again. And a most auspicious beginning for the Steelers. First down at the Houston 48, tackled by Robertson. Perfect beginning.
2 tight ends in there for the Steelers. They're going to try to run that ball. They're making no bones about it, and they're going to keep running until you stop them. And Houston has shown vulnerability, Dan, against the run, and this is a big, good offensive line of the Steelers, enhanced by 2 tight ends.
Boy, you love to have that offensive line, Frank, set the tempo, and have the Steelers done that on the first 2 plays. They have blown the Oilers a good couple of yards off the ball. Excellent start.
Is that second tight end, number 87. And Foster this time is stopped for a gain of a yard and a half. Kenny Davidson, number 90, who played with Pittsburgh and looked for a way to get out. He became an unrestricted free agent. Steelers tried to keep him, but Houston offered him a lot more money, and he's done a nice job.
Well, he's got 3 sacks in the 4 games that he's been a Houston Oiler. He only had 8 sacks all year in 4 years here in Pittsburgh, and very effective job of fighting off the tight end and playing the run, something that Davidson has always done well. What he's shown Houston that he's doing better than thought is rush the passer.
It is second and 8, and they give it to Foster again, 4 in a row. He's just inside the 45. It's going to set up a 3rd and 6. A little bit more than 2 minutes into the game with no score.
Talked about the sacks of Davidson. That front 4 of the Houston Oilers, they have 11 sacks from that down line, and that's pretty darn good. And right now it would be Neil O'Donnell going into a passing situation, and he's going to see some pressure. O'Donnell with the 4 interceptions last week. He is not prone to the interception. One on an average of every 44 attempts.
Out of the gun on 3rd and 6. The pump fake. Then the catch was made over the middle by Yancey Thigpen, the number 3 wide receiver. He's tackled by Darrell Lewis. First down at the Oiler 31.
Pretty good anticipation by Darrell Lewis of the break to the inside by Thigpen. There he is at the very top. Thigpen just a little stutter step to the outside. Lewis in pretty good shape. That was just a well-thrown ball by Neil O'Donnell, something that he really hasn't been doing a great deal of lately, putting the ball exactly where he wants it. It's been varying a lot on him, high, low, and outside.
12-yard gain. Foster turns and gives the ball to Charles Johnson. The rookie from Colorado, picked in the first round, takes it to the 26-yard line. Gain of 6. Blaine Bishop makes the tackle.
That, of course, designed to go against the hard pursuit of the Houston Oilers. A very strong pursuing team, and the handoff went to Foster. He hands to Johnson, and an unlikely blocker was Neil O'Donnell out in front of this.
Is that Jerry Kramer out there, or is that a 14 throwing a block?
14, not 64. Working against Lamar Latham. Short of the first down by about 3.
He didn't hurt Latham, but he tried.
It is 2nd and 4 from the 25, and Foster picks up a yard. He takes it to the 23-yard line. It's going to set up a 3rd and a short 3 with 10:50 to go. First quarter, opening drive of the game. Ron Earhart runs the Pittsburgh offense.
And that offense, as we said earlier, they would like to see on the ground most of the night with the 2 tight ends.
Nothing new for Earhart.
No, nothing new. And, of course, nothing new defensively for Houston. They still play the 46, the Buddy Ryan type 46, about 30% of the time. That means a lot of blitzing. We'll see a lot of blitzing tonight. Latham has gone from linebacker to a down defensive right end. 3rd and a long 2. Green in motion. They fake the inside handoff. O'Donnell rolls and then has it knocked down at the 27-yard line by his former teammate, Kenny Davidson. The blitz again, very disruptive.
Well, one of the things you do in a blitzing situation, Houston does a lot, is somebody blitzes and a defensive end who you are counting on to rush drops off. And that's what the situation was here. Davidson actually falls off of the line of scrimmage, Frank, and gets his hands up.
We used to see that in Philadelphia. Even Reggie White, Clyde Simmons, they'd be dropping back into the pass defense.
In Chicago, when Buddy Ryan was there, it was Richard Dent that would fall back into the pass cover.
This is a 42-yarder for Gary Anderson, and it's perfect. One of the most accurate kickers in the history of the league. He puts it through from 42. 10:09 to go, opening quarter. Steelers take a 3-0 lead. The Steelers have the lead. That's news. Shot. That's the Golden Triangle, downtown Pittsburgh, all lit up.
What a night, too. Beautiful day.
From a player's perspective, it's an absolutely perfect night. You're right, Frank. That's the word that applies. No wind to speak of. The temperature is such that fatigue is not a problem. You're not going to get overheated, and you're not going. It's not so cold that you got to worry about a muscle pull.
You saw the Gary Anderson graphic indicating no touchbacks, and the average start after his kickoffs for the opposition has been the 42-yard line. And the Steelers' kick coverage has been abysmal. This is a short kick. It's taken up at the 19-yard line by Spencer Tillman, and he brings it back to the 34. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, less filling. Can your beer do this? Duracell batteries. The copper top tops them all. And the totally new Ford Contour, a world car for the 21st century. Cody Carlson, wearing a shield across the front of his helmet, broke his nose last week, separated his left non-throwing shoulder opening day, also has a strained knee. He starts from the 34, goes right to the air out of the modified run and shoot, and Coleman drops the football. The Oilers starting with a run and shoot tonight. They also have a tight end who will see a lot of action as well. As we take a look at their base offense, you've got Lorenzo White spelling Gary Brown. Then the wideouts, Jeffries, Slaughter, Givens, and Coleman. And up front, Brad Hopkins, the left tackle, Flannery at guard, Matthews, one of the very best, Donnelly at right guard, and David Williams at right tackle. 2nd and 10 from the 34. And they give it to Lorenzo White. A little bit of room, but that closes in a hurry as Greg Lloyd comes up to greet him after a gain of a yard or 2. Now a look at the Steelers defensively. They start with 2 down linemen and 3 backers against the run and shoot with Williams and Steed up front. Kevin Green having a fine year. Chad Brown and Greg Lloyd, who just made the last tackle. And their 6 DBs, Woodson, McKyer, Lake, Darren Perry with 5 interceptions tied for the league lead. Deion Figures and Gary Jones. 3rd and 9 from the 35.
Early first quarter, 3-0 Steelers as Carlson hangs in there, but the pass is too high. Off the hand of White, and Carlson goes down. He was really drilled.
I think that's Kevin Green that got a shot on him. And they knew from the very beginning, Frank, we've been around this for years. There is no mercy in this league. Carlson's banged up, and Pittsburgh wants to see how hurt he is.
Kevin Green, one of the great pass rushers, and when you go with this run-and-shoot offense, he is in so much closer. Without a tight end, he has to just shake loose just a little bit, and he's right in the quarterback's face, and he really drilled Carlson. Camarillo to kick. He's averaging 44 a kick. Woodson loves to catch the ball above his helmet, and this one he catches more conventionally at the 28-yard line and doesn't return it any further than the 29. As Wortham and Barrow get down there to Fulton. 3-0 Pittsburgh, and the Steelers have the ball. And Carlson's shaking.
Airline is just
There has to be some concern with Carlson. There's Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator, right there. But Cody with the separated shoulder, and Bucky Richardson is his backup.
Well, a separated shoulder, a broken nose, a bad knee, and a bad ankle. The Steelers are going to come after Carlson tonight. It's a simple storyline.
Outside of that, he feels great.
Yeah, really.
Here's O'Donnell. Throwing, and a catch is made despite double teaming Hastings. Andre Hastings makes the catch at the 25-yard line. He got between Robertson and Lewis. Oh, and a great catch. It looked like Lynn Swan, our sideline reporter, even Charles Johnson, the rookie #1 draft pick out of Colorado, who really goes up and comes down with the football. But this is Andre Hastings, a third-round draft pick of a year ago. Between Lewis, who had help on the inside from Robertson, he just went up and came down with the football, and even wore your number, Lynn.
That's Chris Dishman. You saw him after the play, number 28, kind of hitting himself on the chest, saying that was mine.
From the 25-yard line, Barry Foster has a first down and 11-yard gain. He's out of the 14.
Well, the Houston Oilers defensively all of a sudden back on their heels. An impressive drive by the Steelers the first time they had it. Now in possession number 2, the big strike to Hastings. And again, Jeff Fisher, their defensive coordinator there, the former defensive back for the Bears, and a Buddy Ryan disciple, finds himself backed up against the goal line.
8 minutes to go, first quarter. Steelers 3, Oilers nothing. First down at the 14. Foster again behind a Williams block and is able to squirt forward to the 10-yard line.
I think it's something we're going to see a lot tonight. The Pittsburgh Steelers running to the weak side. First of all, they got the great back in Barry Foster, but their offensive line is underappreciated, I think, by a lot of people other than the folks here in Pittsburgh. Jackson, Love, Dawson, Kalis, and Searcy. This is a very physical, a very active, a very athletic offensive line. And Frank, they seldom lose the battle of the line of scrimmage.
I think you left out with a two-time Pro Bowler at center, Vermonti Dawson.
No, I said Dawson.
Did you get him in there?
I got him in there. And not to mention the fact they got a tight end that's bigger than any of their linemen.
2nd and 6. And O'Donnell runs out of bounds. Bishop forces him out at the 8-yard line.
Yeah, when you factor in the fact that Eric Green is 280, 285 pounds, it's a formidable running game the Steelers have, and right now the Oilers are hard-pressed to solve the puzzle.
Pretty obvious that Neil O'Donnell is not going to be doing a lot of rollouts and sprinting to the corner of the end zone.
A young John Elway, he does not remind you of it.
This is Eric Green territory. You mentioned a moment ago, you talked about his size, but he also likes to maneuver down around the end zone. He's big, and he makes a tremendous target. 3rd and 4. He lined up on the right side. He was the target there, but the coverage was very good. He was covered by Eddie Robinson. Well, the Oilers look at the same videos we look at and the same kinds of frequencies, and it was a good coverage job by Marcus Robertson, one of the fine free safeties in this league, coming off a knee surgery, still very agile. Green trying to force upfield, release to the outside, ball poorly thrown, but a good coverage.
So now Anderson again. He's already made one from 42. This one will be spotted at the 15. It's a 25-yarder for Gary, and that's good.
A moral victory, though, if there is such a thing, for the Oilers defense. 2 good Steeler drives, and the most Bill Cowher's club come up with is a couple of field goals.
6:38 left in the first. 6-0 Pittsburgh. Your blimp Stars and Stripes hovering right over downtown and across the river. Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh.
Well, I think we should kind of pause here and thank the crew of the Endeavor and Commander Michael Baker for opening our telecast tonight. I know they had other things to do.
I hope they have a Nielsen book up there.
Al, why do you take my line like that and act like it's your own?
Was that your line?
Well, he worked so hard all week.
Anderson picks off. Tillman fumbles it, and Tillman falls on it at the 14-yard line. And Bobby April, the special teams coach of the Steelers, likes the look of that last play. Bobby used to be with the Atlanta Falcons, and he is one of the more demonstrative special teams coaches in the league.
Well, and he works for a guy that used to be one of the more demonstrative coaches in the league. Bill Cowher was pretty excitable on the sidelines, and as you can see, Bobby April cut from the same fabric.
He was like that at USC. That's where Bill Cowher first heard of him and got to know him.
Oilers at the 14-yard line. Cody Carlson is 0 for his first 2. They stay on the ground and go nowhere. Lorenzo White is hit by Joel Steed. At the 10, it's a loss of 4.
Well, you're almost asking the impossible of your center, Bruce Matthews, to block a guy who's lined up in the gap, and then he slants away from you. That's just a dead play. That's good play by Steed, but that was the right defense against the wrong blocking scheme.
Second down and 14 from the 10-yard line. 5:55 to go in the quarter. 6-0 Pittsburgh. It's a fumble by Carlson. The ball is loose. The Steelers have it inside the 5. Kevin Green.
Hello. Problems in Oilerville.
Well, there have been problems all year.
Well, this is
Fumble coming away from the center.
Let's take a look at it. There's Cody Carlson. The ball appears to hit him right in the hand.
It was never handled.
No. Bruce Matthews brought the ball up, and it appeared to hit Carlson in the hands. And none of the Oilers aware that the ball is on the ground. Nobody but people in black shirts are chasing it. When we come back from this play, we'll take a look at it from a different angle. Maybe we can see the ball more definitively.
Steelers with 3 tight ends and a first and goal. It is lofted to one of the 3. Eric Green. Touchdown, Pittsburgh.
Oh, play action. You had to think the Steelers could love to run down here on first and second down. Good call by Ron Earhart, the offensive coordinator of the Steelers. Little play action. The big man, we told you how agile he was, just slides along like he's going to make the block, slips to the flat, wide open.
I don't know how the Oilers can lose track of somebody, A, that important and that well known, and B, somebody that big. How the Oilers allow him to run loose in the secondary, it's got to be a blow.
Mark Royals holding for Gary Anderson. And it's Anderson's 7th point of the first quarter. 5:42 left first quarter. 13-0 Pittsburgh. Well, Cody Carlson is going to have to bring the Oilers from behind with an offense that has been sputtering all season long. Cody shaken.
A fumbled exchange between that guy, Bruce Matthews, and Cody Carlson. We looked at it from about 4 different angles. It looked like a good snap by Matthews. It hit Carlson in the hand, but ended up on the field.
Anderson's 3rd kickoff of the night is his best. This is Spencer Tillman taking it from the 7-yard line. Flag is down up to the 26. It's the first penalty marker of the night. Larry Nimmers is the referee. Bobby April getting his workout in.
The tough part for Cody Carlson now is it's difficult enough in this league to make a comeback when you're in a hole like this early after some of the mistakes are yours. but to do it when you're hurt only compounds the
Illegal
problem.
block below the waist, number 37 of the receiving team.
Carlson missed a bunch of practice this week because he couldn't breathe, because his nose was full of packing, because they reset his broken nose on Monday. He's ailing. Jack Pardee tells us yesterday that his knee is even a bigger problem than the nose or the separated left shoulder that he got in week 1. This is a patchwork quarterback trying to make a comeback against the boys from the Steel City.
Eric Green, the man who scored the touchdown, that last penalty against Todd McNair, moves Houston back to the 12-yard line, and it is Lorenzo White. It's trying to establish some form of a running game. Picks up 1.5 yards. What about the condition of Cody Carlson? Well, what do you know, Lynn?
Well, with all those injuries coming into this ball game, Al, the only visible piece of equipment change for him is a clear visor on his face mask. He says there is a slight distortion when he looks through it, and he also sees a reflection of his own number. He had better be careful this evening, because he might start seeing those numbers add up to 28 if he's not careful.
That's something you'd think maybe they would have checked out in advance.
Yeah, you would think. 2nd and 8, and that's an incomplete pass intended with a flag down at the 14-yard line. Pat Carter, the tight end, was the intended receiver.
Even though there's going to be a penalty on it, that ball was well overthrown. Part of the intended receiver, but that ball was overthrown by 8 or 10 feet.
Woodson most likely will say, we will decline this. Take the incomplete pass, make a 3rd and 8.
Illegal formation. Number 80 had covered up the tight end. The penalty is refused. 3rd down.
Well, these are the things that shouldn't happen in the run-and-shoot offense when you've been using it for so many years. Jeffries, the offender, he's been using it for at least 5 years.
3rd and 8 at the 14. 4:52 remaining, first quarter. Steelers 13, Oilers nothing. Carlson gets good protection, and it's tipped and it's incomplete. It is knocked away by Carnell Lake, intended for Pat Coleman.
Carnell Lake is one of the under-publicized safeties in this league. A strong safety who can do anything. They'll line him up on a wide receiver, go man for man. He does a terrific job. He'll come up and play like a linebacker. He's big, 6'1" and 210 pounds. And look at this. Right there, almost gets the interception. Fine safety man.
Rich Camarillo to kick. The line of scrimmage at the 14. Rod Woodson back to get it. Good kick. 52-yard kick. Woodson is run out of bounds near midfield. Spotted at the 46. Steelers will take it there. McNair with the tackle. 4:34 to go in the quarter. 13-0 home team.
Turning point tonight appears to be the first time the Steelers got their hands on the football.
Arrived at the stadium. They came to play.
They certainly did.
They lead 13-0 at the 47-yard line. It's John L. Williams, the one-time Seahawk in his first year. Picks up 11. He's tackled by Baron Wortham and Glenn Montgomery.
Well, what a pickup he was as an unrestricted free agent. John L. Williams, 68 receptions on average for the past 5 years. He does it all, though. He's a good blocker out of the backfield, a real thinking football player. But an excellent receiver coming out of the backfield.
Well, they needed him, Frank. Merrill Hodge defected and went to the Chicago Bears, so there was a vacancy at fullback here in Pittsburgh, and John L. has fit right in.
From the 43-yard line, Barry Foster slices over the right side. Inside the 20, dragged down at the 17-yard line.
Now there, that's a Pro Bowl safety that was trying to bulldog Foster. He is so powerful, such a low center of gravity, and he carried Marcus Robertson about 6 yards.
Well, he had to fight off John L. Williams first, and then Blaine Bishop, number 23, gets in the action. It's everybody getting a shot here at Barry Foster, and nobody can bring him down.
He is hard to take low and almost impossible to take high.
Yeah. Bishop misses, and then Marcus Robertson gets a ride.
Good block by Kalis. Good block by Williams. 26-yard gain. Foster again. Foster to the 13-yard line.
Boy, what a remarkable comeback by Foster. There's a lot of question at the end of last season. It had upgraded him to probable on a couple of occasions, and he decided he could not play. He decided he would have surgery. Decided that on his own. He did December the 21st. And they really didn't know how he was going to come out of it. And they went out and got John L. Williams just in case. And I'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with Barry Foster right now. He's playing like he did in '92, and he gained over 1,600 yards.
And this line of the Steelers is putting a real spanking on the Oilers.
2nd and 6 at the 13-yard line. Foster, inside the 5, and he is stopped just short of the goal line.
Oh, get it to him. Well, this is embarrassing for Houston. They are being just surgically sliced by the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are just blowing them off the line of scrimmage, caving them in. Huge hole for Barry Foster.
Robertson again.
Nice move on Marcus Robertson, but it's the amount of room that Foster is getting to operate. He could have taken Robertson 3 or 4 yards in either direction to make a move laterally.
From the I formation, they give it to the tailback Foster. Another touchdown for the Steelers.
And here goes one of the Oilers was on Eric Green and drove him back over the pile, and the flags go flying. I don't know who that was, but I saw Eric Green getting pushed back on top of the pile after the touchdown. And then the flags come. I think Kenny Wolf, our producer, is saying it was Lamar Lathan, number 57.
That's just an action out of frustration.
Oh, and frustrated they should be. There's Lathan right there lined up on Green. Oh, well, no wonder he's upset. Eric Green drives him 4 yards into the end zone. Oh, that explains the frustration.
Gary Anderson taps on the point after. Well, we've played 13 minutes, 11 seconds. The Oilers come in 1-3, and they are down 20-0 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Good bunch.
Such early domination. You saw that 85-0 yardage total there just from Barry Foster versus all the Oilers. This is, as a defensive coach, this is where you have to go challenge your players from a pride standpoint. 4 scoring drives in the first quarter for the Steelers, the first NFL team to do that since '92, and the first quarter isn't over yet. Looking at some of the Oilers possessions before this, they haven't lasted a minute and 49.
Anderson's leg getting a workout tonight. He sends it down to the 9-yard line and is run back by John Henry Mills. He brings it back to the 30. First 3 drives for the Oilers, resulting in 3 and out,
and add them up,
fumble, and 3 and out.
Add those yards up. +4, -4.
We ran into Bill Belichick,
the big
Cleveland Browns, who had come over to scout the Houston Oilers. The Browns leading the Central Division of the AFC with a 4-1 record, off to a great start. Play the Oilers after their bye week. There's Bill Belichick.
That's Bill with the binoculars. Right?
Off to a good start. He might as well go home.
Yeah, he might live.
He doesn't. His players don't see this.
Oh, he doesn't want his players to see this.
Oh, no.
Of course. I think most of them have television.
From the 30-yard line, Carlson throws, and this is Webster Slaughter out to the 38-yard line. Gary Jones makes the tackle. Slaughter, coming back from very serious knee surgery, suffered that knee injury that ended his season last year right here in Three Rivers Stadium.
He really isn't all the way back. However, he had 15 receptions coming into tonight. Now, this is a good call. Get something that'll work. Get your confidence back a little bit. A little high percentage pass to Slaughter, a little screen to the slot back. Get something happening. As they have been being handed their lunch thus far.
2nd and 3 up at the 37. A minute to go in the first quarter. Steelers leading 20-0. And the catch is made here by Haywood Jeffries. Deion Figures makes the tackle. If you haven't seen the Oilers in a while, Jeffries used to wear number 84, then he went to 80. Slaughter was 89, and when 84 became available, he took that one.
And a round of applause goes up on the Oilers sideline as they get a first down. The defense needs a rest.
At the 44-yard line, first down.
Cody Carlson changed some things at the line of scrimmage, and he'll have to hurry.
And here come the Steelers. They pick up the backside blitz as they take care of Lake, and the catch is made by Pat Coleman. Up to the 48-yard line, it's a gain of 4, and that will be the final play of the first quarter.
That was Bruce Matthews, the center, that got all the way out there. Watch Matthews snap the football and comes all the way out and picks off Parnell Lake.
And he saved
That might have been Cody's last play.
End of the quarter, 20-0 Pittsburgh. Monday Night Football back after this from our ABC station.
Well, I know Cassidy be asleep. He better be asleep.
I know one thing. Don't let her look out on the field when the Steelers have the ball. Young eyes shouldn't see what's been happening to the Houston defense.
She's working on that pinky.
2nd and 6 as we start the second quarter. 20-0 Pittsburgh. Houston from his own 48. Carlson falls down. Might have gotten his feet tangled. Flag is thrown in. Might have gotten tangled up with Matthews. Chad Brown came in and whacked him, and I think that's why the flag came in.
Well, they landed on top of a prone quarterback.
Personal foul. Elbow to the head. 15 yards. First down.
Chad Brown is lined up at right defensive end, coming in from the offense's left. Lecturing officials, Chad. Doesn't really get you anywhere in this league. Just a second-year guy out of Colorado. He's at the very top of your screen. There Cody falls down.
You know, I think Matthews might have got his left foot that time.
But look at his, a very good look at his arm right on Carlson's head. You can't hit somebody on the head who's down in a defenseless position on the ground.
I think the guy just had surgery on his nose this week.
Yeah, that's
not a very kind approach to it.
First and 10 at the 41-yard line.
I'm sure he'll send Cody an I'm sorry card.
Lorenzo White checking with Carlson, and it's a good thing he did because he gets the ball but goes nowhere.
I don't know, but they were concerned that Cody would be able to bark out the signals, make the changes loud enough for the team to hear, and I just wonder if maybe that didn't affect Lorenzo White, who had to step up and get that change from him.
Maybe part of their strategy was to fall so far behind the crowd would stop making a lot of noise. I think that's a possibility.
You were with the Cardinals too long.
Oh, that was me, wasn't it?
Let me remove this dagger from my heart.
2nd and 9 at the 40-yard line. And we've got number 98, Gerald Williams, jumping. Was he induced?
I don't know. We'll deduce that in a moment.
Here is the deductive reason.
Full start prior to the snap. 77 offense, 5 yards, still second down.
He was induced.
Kevin Donnelly, the right guard. A pair of new guards playing for the Oilers this year. There's Donnelly, second guy up from the bottom, and there he goes early. David Williams decides to go with him. Doug Dawson and the great future Hall of Famer Mike Munchak were the two guards for the Houston Oilers. There's John Flannery, who's taken over the left guard position. Brad Hopkins in only his second year at left tackle. This is an offensive line in transition for the Oilers.
2nd and 14. Play clock is down to 3.
Look out!
Lloyd gets him from the backside. Football is loose. And the Oilers appear to have maintained possession, but it costs them a lot of yardage, and Carlson is down. David Williams comes up with the football back at his own 34.
Well, it's fitting that David Williams ends up with the football because he allows Greg Lloyd around the corner, and Lloyd strips the football.
The Steelers nevertheless should have had the ball. Lloyd who plays with such emotion, just wheels around David Williams. There goes the ball, and somebody tries to pick it up. I think it's Chad Brown, rather than fall on it, or it would have been the Steelers' ball. Fall on it right there.
What a brilliant defensive concept by the Steelers. Greg Lloyd was hiding back behind Kevin Green, and by the time he came around the corner, David Williams didn't see him, was late to react, and a big play for Pittsburgh.
Houston takes a timeout. 3rd and 34 when we come back.
There is Greg Lloyd right there. On the right side is David Williams. Notice how he's fronted up by Kevin Green. Now take a look at this. At the snap of the ball, Williams thinks he's going to block Green right there. And now roll of guys, by the time he reacts to Lloyd, it's too late. Tom Capers, the defensive coordinator for the Steelers, gets a big thumbs up for that. That's a beautiful scheme, and it worked big. And there's Capers, who works upstairs. That's the way you draw it up, Frank.
I know it's not the thing they like to do. They do have a tight end offense, and they better go to it if they're going to have a quarterback. They've got to protect Cody Carlson better than they're doing it.
That was a 20-yard loss on the play. It's 3rd and 34 from the 35. And they just try to pick up a few through the middle, and Lorenzo White does take it out to midfield. And Darren Perry makes the tackle. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, Lynn Swan patrolling the sidelines in his hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Three River Stadium. It's the first of 2 Monday night games here this year, back in mid-November for Buffalo at the Steelers.
A lot of great memories of watching number 88, our sideline reporter, run around on Monday nights out here.
Rod Woodson back to receive the kick. Rich Camarillo takes a low snap and gets it away. And Woodson backs up and makes the catch at the 6-yard line, and Rod brings it back out to the 16. Steelers have it again, 11:59 to the half, 20-0 Pittsburgh. View. Pittsburgh from the 16-yard line, and Barry Foster chugging his way out to the 24-yard line. It's a pickup of 80, a stop there by Al Smith.
Got 8 yards on that carry, and it didn't look like all that much. That's how thorough the domination has been here in the early going by the Steeler.
Almost like they held him.
I know. Almost looked like a good play for the Oilers.
Hey, Dishman was glad to see Al Smith get over there, too.
Well, this is an offense that was built to protect the lead. With their ground game, this is a perfect position for the Steelers.
And the other guy they can go to is this one, John L. Williams, close to a first down up to the 26-yard line. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Delta Airlines. You'll love the way we fly. Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car. And Magnavox. We make technology people want.
I'll tell you, one guy we're probably going to end up seeing tonight is the 3rd-round draft choice of the Steelers, Byron Bam Morris, who will spell Barry Foster during the course of this game, a guy that had over 1,700 yards at Texas Tech last year. And there's Bam. He's staying warm because he'll see some action tonight, I'm sure.
Barry Foster.
Ooh, there was a big hit by Al Smith. Eddie Robinson, too. That's one of the first really pops you've seen the Oiler defense put on somebody tonight.
Jeff Fisher, the defensive coordinator. Buddy Ryan was there last year. In fact, we'll be visiting with Buddy at the half. Coming off his first win as the Arizona Cardinals head coach.
I got to hear that interview. What did he call you, a hockey announcer once?
He called you.
You're getting along
well,
now?
There was a fat old tackle, a soccer announcer, and a relic.
A relic.
That's the threesome, folks.
Yeah. How did you get along?
Great. 2nd down and 9. And Yancey Thigpen gets turned upside down by Darrell Lewis.
Lewis, another one of the Oilers coming off knee surgery from a year ago and responding very well to surgical treatment, as did Marcus Robertson.
The Oilers need a big play. Now on this series, they have shown some defensive life. Some big hits, some good tackles. But they need something magical to happen. They need a turnover in the worst way.
3rd and 9 from the 28-yard line. Blitz. Down he goes. So the Oilers come, and a sack is credited to Lamar Lathan at the 25-yard line. Lathan had a pair last week.
Smart move by O'Donnell. You've got a commanding lead. Don't do anything risky down in this part of the field. Like, don't do anything risky anywhere.
Especially coming off last week with 4 INTs.
Well, he's not a come-from-behind quarterback. I think we all saw that last week.
with the 4 INTs.
Mark Royals has a terrible average, 34.5, but his punts are rarely returned for any sizable yardage. It's a short kick. It bounces at the 42. And it takes a good Houston bounce, and it is down by the Steelers up at the 47-yard line. That's a 28-yard kick. It's down by Reggie Clark.
Punts seldom get returned when they land 15 yards in front of the return guy.
Yes, 9:18 to the half.
What's Kevin Green got? A couple pressures, a couple knockdowns, a sack, 2 fumble recoveries, and there's 9:15 left in the first half.
And a first-class ticket to Hawaii.
He sure.
No batted balls yet, though.
No, a long way to go. Again, the ball ends up on the ground. Hard to tell, but you've got a center that's warmed up and a quarterback who's cold.
Here's Barry Foster now. Pickup of a couple. Takes it to the 42-yard line.
Bucky Richardson certainly makes things exciting. We'll find out as this game goes along that he does things in the pocket that a lot of times are unconventional. He's an accomplished runner. He'll take off with the ball. The game will get more exciting than it is at this point when Houston has the football. When Bucky gets going.
Heck of a time to be practicing snaps on October 3rd. Bam Morris, the rookie from Texas Tech, and he is, as they say, a load at 6 feet, 235, 240. Goes Bam, a 3rd-round draft choice, and they love him.
Off what I've seen him, you have to wonder why he was a 3rd-round draft pick. He's 6 feet, 235 pounds. He ran just under, I guess, 4.8 at the combine, but I mean, the guy is quick and he is strong. What we've seen, look at that. That was his senior year.
Yeah, that's not a career.
A while ago. Only played 2 years and just tore up all the records at Texas Tech.
Those look like career numbers. That was one season.
3rd and 6 at the 41 as O'Donnell throws, and it's incomplete off the fingertips of Eric Green. 4th down.
See that very often. Eric Green has soft hands. He concentrates well. That one he should have caught. I had a little bit on it, but nevertheless, he should have handled that easily.
You can't ask for any more. The Oilers blitz to that side. Eric Green is wide open on the play. That's just the type of play that if you want to be a star in this league, you just got to make that catch look routine.
Mark Royals, his last kick was a 28-yarder.
Hard to say how far Green would have gone with that. He was being covered by a back. He could have carried one for 50.
Ernest Givens is back to receive it. Royals angles the kick. Givens lets it go, and a beautiful job by Dwight Stone at the 1-yard line. The receiver with a lot of speed got down there to down it. Just what the Oilers need. They start from the 1. Guys, that this year is a repeat of last year. They're on the verge of going 1-4. Last year they were 1-4, and they reeled off 11 wins at the end of the year, but I don't think it's going to happen in '94.
It's a very different football team. It's a team that doesn't, I don't feel, runs the run and shoot like it should be run. There's no rhythm to it. There's no quickness. Warren Moon handled the run and shoot like it should be handled. They haven't got it off the ground this year.
Well, they start at their own 1-yard line, and White gives them a little bit of breathing room.
Well, when you look at this Houston Oilers team of this year compared to last year, obviously Warren Moon is gone. So are people like Sean Jones and William Fuller. Gary Brown is on the bench now with a badly sprained ankle. This is a team that I don't think is anywhere near the same level of the team that they had a year ago. So
use my hand, man. There are a lot more things wrong with this.
I couldn't get my shoes off fast enough.
2nd and 9 from the 2. 7:11 to go in the half. And they cover up at the 2-yard line. Boy, they're having incredible trouble on both sides of the ball. At least to this point of the season, defensively they had played fairly well, but tonight breakdowns all over the joint. Here we go again, another fumble, but at least this time Bucky is there to pick it up.
I think this is what, the 5th time they mishandled the snap from center, and I mean that's where it all begins.
It's hard to comprehend. I'm struggling for an answer, especially involving such a quality player like Bruce Matthews at center.
3rd and 9, and they have to take a timeout. You got a backup quarterback, you got a backup running back, you're backed up to the end zone, you're down 20-0.
He should have saved the timeout if it only cost him half a yard.
And this is starting to smell like something that's backed up.
Well, the Oilers.
I like that. That color?
That's
colorful.
Yes. The Oilers will have next week off. They'll play a rare Thursday night game a week from Thursday against the resurgent Cleveland Browns, who are 4-1. The AFC Central is the division in the AFC with 4 teams, and that means that they'll go to 5 next year when the leagues either realign or just put Charlotte and Jacksonville in particular divisions. I was talking to Dan Rooney before the game. He says if they don't realign, and remember it takes a 3/4 vote, he said the chances are Charlotte would come into the AFC Central, and then Jacksonville would go to the NFC West. So you'd have Jacksonville and Atlanta playing in the Western Division of the National Football Conference.
I know you say why those 2 divisions. Remember, those are the 2 4-team divisions in the NFL.
Here's Lorenzo White up to the 7-yard line. Next year they can go to 6 5-team divisions. What they're trying to do is move a few teams, including Houston. There's a movement to get Houston to go to the AFC West. And then they would put Jacksonville in the NFC Central, Tampa Bay to the AFC East, Seattle goes to the NFC West, and all of that. But, you know, again, you need 21 out of 28 to vote it in.
I say do what they did before. Throw them in a hat and pull them out. It's the only way that you'll get people to agree on it, because they don't have a choice.
Camarillo to kick. Fair catch called for and made by Woodson on the Oilers side of the 50-yard line. And we will take our traveling circus to the Meadowlands next Monday night. We've got a good one next Monday night from East Rutherford, New Jersey. We'll see Warren Moon and the Minnesota Vikings, and Chris Carter having a sensational year. He had 14 grabs yesterday in a loss to Arizona against the 3-1 New York Giants.
You guys ought to come in early and go to Washington, D.C. I'll be down there Wednesday. The NFL is having a seminar, the first of 6 of them at the Smithsonian. A lot of greats are coming in. Walter Payton for one, Gale Sayers, Dan Rooney going to be there. And it'll be kicking off a series of seminars. They'll have an exhibit in the Smithsonian. It's going to be a lot of fun. So come on down.
All right. We'll take that as an invitation. From the 49-yard line, O'Donnell deep, and the catch is, I believe, made and then fumbled at the 5-yard line. It is Ernie Mills making the catch, and they're going to rule that he made the catch and he was down by contact.
That's exactly what they're going to rule.
At the 6-yard line.
And I think it was Mills who split the same pair, Robertson and Lewis, that Hastings beat earlier. Actually, it was the other side, Dishman and Bishop. Same coverage, inside out.
See, what's critical here is that possession was established before he hit the ground. If he would have hit the ground after making the catch immediately, that would have been ruled an incomplete catch. But he caught the ball, took 2 steps, established possession, then hit the ground, and the ball came out. That was an excellent call by the official on the spot. See, right here, the ball comes in. Right there, possession is established. He hits the ground, the ball comes out. Very good work by the officiating staff. And a very, very good catch by Ernie Mills.
I hope you get around to that. That was tremendous concentration.
Nice
Good
touch
protection
on the ball by O'Donnell as well.
You protect O'Donnell, and he is about as accurate a passer as you're going to have in the NFL.
And now the Oiler defense finds himself in a really unusual position, backed up to their own goal line. They've only been here all game.
Well, they've been working on it.
43-yard, not a run-of-the-mills catch. First and goal at the 6.
No, but a running of the mouth announcing.
Oh, yeah. What else is new? To the 4-yard line goes Barry Foster, and Foster is almost at 100 yards. He'll get 2 on that, and he's got 99 on 15 carries tonight. You know, Frank, you were talking about Bam Morris lasting to the 3rd round. Barry Foster, it's an amazing thing. Of all the guys in the history of the NFL, and there are a dozen,
who've had 1,600-yard seasons. Every one of them was a first-round draft choice, but Barry Foster, who was picked in the 5th round out of Arkansas.
You wonder how could it happen?
Yeah.
How could it happen? Running is one of those skills that appears to be so easy to see.
He is stopped for no gain. I mean, you're talking about some of the all-time greats, Jim Brown and O.J. Simpson and Eric Dickerson and Walter Payton.
Otis Allen, Otis Anderson. There's a slew of names on that list, and
there it is.
Al brings up a great point. Every one of those guys was a #1 draft choice. Running is a skill that normally you demonstrate very early in your career that you do it better than most.
3rd and goal from the 5. And too deep. Good coverage that time. Ernie Mills was the intended receiver, contending he was pushed. No flag. Darrell Lewis covered.
Ernie Mills working on the left side with Eric Green. Mills slanted in, broke it to the outside. Green took it outside, trying to draw the coverage, and well covered that time by the Oilers. Eric Green. He's had some good years. 63 receptions a year ago. Pro Bowl, and you just wait for him to explode and to become one of the all-time greats.
22-yarder for Gary Anderson, and that is good. That's his 3rd field goal of the night. He has 2 extra points. He has scored 11. And the Steelers have 23.
The Steelers have 23 and could relatively easily have 35. They have taken their share of field goals in these situations where they could have gotten in for touchdowns. I guess you can say that when they got close to the goal line, that Houston stiffened or that Pittsburgh faltered. Either way, as much of a blowout as this is, it could even be worse.
Bucky Richardson again will be coming in for the combined yards. Steelers 222, the Oilers 26, and not a whole lot of, well, what can you say with a team that is passing out of the run and shoot at just under 47% completion? Now, you're going run and shoot, you have to have completions up there around 60-65%. It's a high percentage passing game, and they are just not getting it done.
Cody Carlson out of the game, at least temporarily. Again, re-injuring the left shoulder, the non-throwing shoulder. 3 of 7, Carlson on the night. Well, the Oilers had to make a decision. I mean, they had 2 quarterbacks. They had a 30-year-old and a 37-year-old in Warren Moon. And you can only keep one under the salary cap. And it was pretty clear that a lot of the Oilers coaches wanted to keep Warren Moon, but they decided to go for youth.
He had a simple answer. He said we'd have to cut about 12 players.
John Henry Mills cut about 12 if they kept them both. Out to the 27-yard line. On the run back, Steve Avery makes the tackle. Goodyear Blimp is Stars and Stripes. The Blimp is based in Pompano Beach, Florida. Drew Marshall is at the helm tonight, hovering above Three Rivers Stadium. Talking about the run and shoot through the years, Pardee coming in 1990, and there it is. And look in the right-hand column, yards per pass play is always a great indication. Down to 4.88, which is abysmal this year. Diminishing returns in this offense. 28-yard line, Bucky Richardson. Well, the best play of the night for them is an improvisation. Out to the 46 he goes. He was tackled there by Woodson and Lloyd. It's an 18-yard gain.
Well, Bucky will give you some improvisation. He is a good athlete, good runner, good football player. He made this team just by hustling. Came up with an 8th-round draft pick. Let's take a look at Greg Lloyd. We talked about the emotion with which he plays, and a pretty good athlete to get back into this play. Quick, and he runs down Bucky Richardson.
That's not just raw athletic ability. That's tremendous concentration and drive to get back into that play.
From the 46-yard line, the catch is made. It is Ernest Givens for a gain of 5 yards. Ernest, great receiver for many years, and picks up his first reception of the game.
Ernest tries to give Greg Lloyd a helping hand. I don't think Lloyd wants any part of any sportsmanship out on the field.
If you're a receiver for the Steelers, you don't get near this man.
No. This man is all business.
2nd and 5. 23-0 Pittsburgh. Late first half. Richardson throws a wobbler. It's caught by Pat Coleman.
Hello.
And he gets banged out by Dion Figures at the 33-yard line.
Figures, the #1 draft pick from a year ago, and had to give up the starting job tonight for some reason to Tim McKyer. Coleman across the middle. He's been the key 3rd down man in this run and shoot for the Oilers thus far this season.
Final play before the 2-minute warning. It's a draw to Lorenzo White. He takes it to the 30. It'll be 2nd down and 6. And the 2-minute warning comes with 1:57 officially remaining. The Pittsburgh Steelers leading the Houston Oilers 23-0.
Canada is a land like no other, with a beer like no other. Molson Ice. Ice brewed by North America's oldest brewery to be colder and bolder. Yet smooth as ice. Molson Ice, from the land where ice was born.
What's the matter, son?
I'm kind of worried about a package I sent out for Mr. Jones.
Cup of coffee? Well, sending out that package is a big responsibility. Jones knows you'll come through. Hard work, faith, trust in each other. That's what it's all about. Besides, in over 20 years, FedEx has never let me down.
What if I didn't use FedEx?
Well, then, you're dead.
Next time, use FedEx.
Put the lights on your way out.
Only one defined agility like Edwin Moses. Only one.
The riverboat chugging down the Allegheny.
How do you know that's the Allegheny?
I recognize the Ferris wheel. I recognize a couple of people on the boat.
I recognize baloney when I hear it too.
On whole wheat. 1:57 to go in the half. 2nd down and 8. And Richardson throws, and it's incomplete. It's too high. Intended for Webster Slaughter, and he might have made the catch if he was about 9'6".
Maybe.
Yeah.
And Bucky actually came in with a higher percentage of completion than Carlson tonight. Bucky passing still under 50%, just under 50%. And
So
Carlson came in at 41.8% of completions.
So Kevin Gilbride, Buddy Ryan's old buddy, the two of them, of course, in that well-publicized and covered encounter at the end of last season, and this pass is incomplete, overthrowing Webster Slaughter again.
Did Buddy ask you to send his best to Kevin?
I couldn't remember his name.
Or his worst?
Didn't want to give him any publicity, he said.
Most anxious to hear Buddy on at halftime.
Did you place the call yourself to Buddy?
Absolutely, got straight through.
Collect?
He's a man of the people. Always collect.
We have to congratulate him on his first win out there yesterday. Big win for Buddy. A relic who happens to be a year older than I am.
Yeah. The Cardinals, Frank, that club you make fun of.
Here's a 48-yard field goal attempt by Al Del Greco, and it is off the crossbar.
Oh, boy.
Boy, that sums up the first half for Houston.
Al Del Greco kicked one in preseason, kicked from 57 yards out. As a regular season kick at 54.
What'd that sound like, Dan?
Starts with a D and ends with a K?
More like a clunk to me.
Oh, that was a clunk? Not a noise?
A clunk, yeah. And a cloink.
A cloink. I like it. A hybrid. A cloink.
Cloink. First down from the 38. A spot from where the field goal was attempted, and Barry Foster takes it up to the 40-yard line. 99 yards now for Foster. Well, the Steelers in 1992, we were here, and they beat then rookie coach Dave Shula's Bengals 20-0. And then last year, the Steelers had a fabulous game in November on a Monday night. They beat Buffalo 23-0. And word around the country that next week was that this was the team that was going to probably go to the Super Bowl.
And Bill Cowher is 4-0 coming into tonight on Monday night games. He told us yesterday, I'd like to see you guys every week.
2nd and 8. Little dump off to Barry Foster. And he surges up to the 44-yard line. He's tackled there by Michael Barrow with 50 ticks left in the half. And a timeout will be taken here by the Pittsburgh Steelers. It'll be 3rd down and 4. Make it 5.
Okay.
All right, 3rd and 5. Brent Musburger and Peter King are in New York, and Randall Cunningham will be the visitee. Cunningham and the Eagles stunning the 49ers yesterday 40-8, and Buddy Ryan, we've been talking about his win over Minnesota, his first win, and that's the halftime lineup. Boy, I tell you, 40 to, I thought that the Rams-Kansas City thing was a shocker last week, 16-0, but who would have ever believed Philadelphia 40, San Francisco 8 at Candlestick?
Shocking.
Anywhere. Veteran State, it didn't matter.
Well, Chicote has pulled a team that was in a lot of trouble before the start of the season when they went up and lost that Giants game. He's pulled that team together.
And the 49ers, okay, I'm an old offensive lineman, so I'm going. When you have trouble on the offensive line, and there's one of my old teammates, Bob Young, who's trying to hold things together in Houston with an offensive line that's struggling right now, and he's one of the great offensive line coaches in the game. But the 49ers, an excellent example of they've got an offensive line decimated by injuries. When you can't control the line of scrimmage, you can't win. I don't care how good your skill players are.
3rd and 5, and O'Donnell throws, and the catch is made. Where's the forward progress? John L. Williams made the catch. The official comes in to spot it. Very close to a first down. 30 seconds, and the clock is still running.
More than that, Dan, as you well know, when you cannot control that line of scrimmage, you tend to lose your skill players. That's
another good point. They don't
particularly the one with the team numbers dropping back to throw that football.
Yeah, you're right.
They're short of the first down, and the Steelers have elected not to utilize their last timeout. They figure they didn't pick up the first, they didn't convert, so they're going to let the clock run out. And the Oilers want to get back as well. That's enough of the first half, they figure. All Pittsburgh through the first 30 minutes. The Steelers leading by a score of 23-0. And we'll return with our halftime activities after this from our ABC station. On a Monday evening, everybody pretty happy around here because their Steelers lead 23-0.
And as Dan pointed out just before half, it should have and could have been a lot more.
Gary Anderson to kick off. It's fielded at the 14-yard line. John Henry Mills brings it back to the 18-yard line. Tackled there by Willie Williams. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Jeep and Eagle, a division of the Chrysler Corporation. Wendy's, after 25 years, quality is still our recipe. And Bud Light, if you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Deerdorf in Pittsburgh. 14:51 left third quarter. 23-0. Steelers on top as they try to go 3-2, and the Oilers are trying to avoid going 1-4. And it's a sack by Joel Steed. Flag down.
Well, that's a line stunt by the Steelers. It takes an awful lot of time. Steed loops all the way around to get the hit on Richardson and gets a face mask along the way. So,
well, he didn't have to either. He was there.
Larry Nemmer's having a problem with his field microphone. And there's a look at Steed with the left hand, and he yanks the face mask of Bucky Richardson around pretty good. Matter of fact, hangs on to it all the way down to the ground. Could have been a 15-yard variety, but ended up being just the 5-yard penalty.
Just the garden variety face mask from the 19-yard line. Bucky Richardson throws, and the catch is made by Haywood Jeffries up to the 28-yard line, close to a first down. It'll be 2nd and 1. McKyer makes the tackle.
Haywood Jeffries, another one of the Oilers that's banged up. He has not been able to practice the last couple of weeks. That means he gets no work during the week. He's got a bad left knee that's been causing him problems. One of the most prolific wide receivers in the game of football, and just one more player that's chalked up in the injury column for the Houston Oilers. And Jack Pardee telling us that he can't remember ever coaching a football team that's this banged up this early in the season.
2nd and 1. Richardson guns it up to the 42-yard line. Webster Slaughter makes the catch. First down, Oilers. Parnell Leak with the coverage.
Webster Slaughter, we talked about earlier, has come back from knee reconstruction surgery and isn't really all the way back yet. Outstanding receiver, of course. 77, the leading receiver for 77 receptions a year ago. His team has really been devastated by injury.
From the 42-yard line, look out. Green is there, and down goes Richardson. And it's Gerald Williams who forces him down, 98.
Well, an attempt at misdirection by the Houston Oilers, sending everybody off to their offensive left. Kevin Green is left unblocked in the hope that he'll end up in some sort of a pursuit and not be there when Bucky comes back to the backside. Well, guess again. Kevin Green went upfield, stayed there.
So did Gerald Williams?
Yep. It was almost as if they knew it was coming.
2nd and 15 from the 37. Over the middle. Oh, it is deflected. It is picked off at the 41. Chad Brown gets it after Webster Slaughter had deflected it. Now the officials are going to confer to make sure it was a pick.
Well, Al Conway, the umpire, was certainly right on top of it.
The pass is incomplete. The ball hit the ground. 3rd down.
Al Conway, the umpire, was as close as an official could be, and he pays the price for being that close. The ball behind Slaughter, but on the hip. It's in the air, and a good call. That is not a catch. And the umpire pays the price for being that close. The ball's on the ground. Chad Brown not able to control it. Another 3rd long for Houston.
3rd and 15 as Richardson retreats. Throws. He's got an open man at the 50-yard line. The catch is made by Pat Coleman. And a nice job by Coleman to pick up those extra 3 yards he needed after the reception to pick up the first down. And Jack says, let's keep it moving.
Once again, the Oilers staying with the frequency. Coleman, their key go-to 3rd down man thus far in the season. Takes it downfield, breaks it across, just waiting to uncover the linebackers in front of him. Knows that he's got to get a couple more for the first down. He picks it up.
At the 47 of Pittsburgh, first down for the Oilers. Bucky Richardson gives it to Lorenzo White. Pick up a 2 to the 45. Again, if you joined us late, Gary Brown was hurt last week. He was their 1,000-yard back last season, so he's gone. They think there's an outside chance he could play a week from Thursday, the next game against Cleveland, but more likely 2 games from now, which is a Monday night game at Philadelphia.
It's not like you're digging down to the bottom of the barrel, though, when he goes to Lorenzo White. In 1992, he gained over 1,200 yards.
2nd and 8.
Big blitz.
And that blitz forces the pass out of the range as Greg Lloyd put the pressure on. And the intended receiver, Lorenzo White, couldn't make the play.
Well, they bring 6, and Lloyd's hot. In other words, he's not blocked. It's a quarterback read, and it's just up to Richardson to try to soft touch the ball over the top of Lloyd. Yes, that is the key if you're wearing Columbia blue tonight.
Lloyd
hasn't been so easy to do.
Not all that big, Lloyd. 225, 26 pounds. He just plays big.
3rd down and 8. 4-man rush, pressure up the middle, and then finally it's Green who knocks him down after he was able to initially escape Joel Steed.
But a classic
coverage sack, too. The 4 wide receivers, none of them could get loose downfield. The dime defense working well for the Steelers, and down goes Richardson.
Bucky looking up at the replay to see who blew an assignment. Only Bruce Smith over those last 18 games with more sacks than Kevin Green. Camarillo angles this kick, and it's caught at the 16 by Woodson. 11:15 remaining in the third. All Pittsburgh.
Why are you looking at me like that, Iggy?
Okay.
Cut it out. You're weirding me, man.
Stop looking at me like that, would ya?
You're creeping me out. Cut that out, man.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light.
Iggy, you're gonna twist my head off. Iggy. Since when did...
I don't believe any of our swings will be making that best of 94 golf video.
Maybe in a bloopers video. Pittsburgh at the 16. And Barry Foster picks up 5, maybe 6, gets out past the 20-yard line. Big night for Barry Foster, and let's get a word from Lynn Swan.
Al, at halftime, I talked to Oilers defensive coordinator Jeff Fisher, and he seemed to think they made some good adjustments at the end of the first half. He thinks they can stop the running attack. They're going to try and spill Barry Foster all of his running to the outside, make him make decisions behind the line of scrimmage, and then get pursuit on him to take him down. We'll see in the second half. Al?
Foster already with 104 yards tonight. 2nd and 5, and let's see if he can add to that, and he does. He picks up about 3 more out to the 24-yard line.
The risk in that strategy by Jeff Fisher is that when you clog the interior running lanes, you're having to do it with someone from the secondary. And what that means is you are susceptible to a big play across the middle if by chance Pittsburgh chooses to put the ball in the air. Now with this type of a lead, they're going to try to grind it out on the ground as much as they want, but Ron Earhart won't be afraid to take advantage of something if Houston is going to overplay the middle of the running game.
3rd down and 3 from the 24-yard line. And it's a draw. John L. Williams. 1st down. Tackled up at the 36-yard line. Marcus Robertson finally stops him there. 1st down, Williams.
Talk about Williams and the great career he had at Seattle before he got here, and obviously Darrell Lewis is in pain. Cornerback for the Houston Oilers.
And we have an injury timeout.
Darrell Lewis is okay. He'll have to come out for the 1 play at least. I think he just had the wind knocked out of him. He looks to be okay.
He was being blocked by that guy there, Yancey Thigpen, who did a really nice job of tying him up while Barry Foster was rumbling downfield.
Rumbling and a stumbling from the 37-yard line. Foster. And his big night continues up to the 44 goes Barry. Pushing, shoving, frustration, and the rest.
Kind of an interesting interview with Buddy. He had no comment whatsoever about the offense of the Houston Oilers, but he did point out that they've lost a couple of key men. Of course, he was referring to Sean Jones and Sean Jones, who went off to Green Bay, and William Fuller went to Philadelphia. They took, with them, 26 of the 52 sacks the Oilers had a year ago. 2 fine defensive ends that the Oilers lost with free agency.
They're missing Bubba McDowell, their starting strong safety, who had a knee surgery back on the 21st of September.
2nd down and 3. They show blitz. Al Smith was coming through, and it's John L. Williams. A little short of the 1st down, over the 45-yard line he goes.
Well, there's a good look at that adjustment that Swanee was talking about, that Jeff Fisher talked about doing, the way they're clogging the middle. They're run blitzing, and they're trying to put somebody in every gap between the tackles.
It's a good move, too, because Barry Foster runs between tackles so much better than he does to the outside. He's not a real hard cutback runner, but he is a slasher. And if you give him any kind of a gap between the tackles, he is going to make a bundle of yardage out of it.
But I tell you what, when they show that look, a little dink pass to Eric Green will go for big yardage.
3rd and a yard, and he doesn't get it. Foster is stopped as the Oilers rise up. Ray Childress led the charge.
Well, that is a combination of good defensive work by the Houston Oilers and really making the hit at or behind the line of scrimmage. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers could be a little more aggressive in trying to take advantage of Houston overplaying the run. I wouldn't look for them to just continually be that easy on Houston as this third quarter rolls along.
Well, we're going to see some play action, you know that.
Just that little 5-yard toss across the middle to Green would go big.
Mark Royals kicking. Ernest Givens back to receive it. Calls for the fair catch. And it is made at the 16. It's a 40-yard punt. Oilers get it. 7:32 left in the third. Pittsburgh 23. Houston nothing. Great shot from the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes.
Another blimp circling underneath him a moment ago.
Maybe that's from the shuttle.
Yeah, I don't think blimps go that high, do they? NASA hat. Those guys get up in rarefied air and no air at all.
Another blimp trying to get on our camera.
From the 16, Houston takes over. It's Lorenzo White working his way to the outside and picks up 8 yards. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by the NASDAQ stock market. The stock market for the next 100 years. The NASDAQ Composite Index closed today at 760.88, down 3.41 points, in case you were wondering.
I know you weren't even looking at the card. I know what you were doing this afternoon. Even though you put in 60 hours a week working on these games.
Well, you call me in my room later, I'll give you individual quotes.
When did those 60 hours begin?
Well, they started last night.
That must have been part of that 1% that gets on the air.
That's right. 2nd and 1. Lorenzo White. Sometimes they have 20-minute phone calls that take about 9 hours, so depends on the accounting methods. 3rd down and 1.
Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator of the Oilers, trying to make something happen. Team banged up. Starting quarterback Cody Carlson on the bench, the starting quarterback of a year ago in Minnesota, and Bucky Richardson attempting to get the Oilers out of a big hole.
3rd and 1. White.
That's weak.
Well, there's Pat Carter, that 85. He was brought in to diversify the Oiler offense, and that means to use a tight end to enable you to block better, protect the quarterback better, be able to run the ball on 3rd and short.
Well, guess who stuffed it, Frank? Let's take a wild guess who might have been involved in that, huh?
Well, he's been involved in everything tonight. Kevin Green. And they were running to the tight end side.
Kevin Green.
Yeah, he does look like the Hulkster, doesn't he?
Getting ready for his big match with Ric Flair.
Hey, the way Bucky came back, I don't think he was really enamored with that plate call. Camarillo's kick. Rod Woodson from the 27-yard line. And he's dropped at the 29. The ball is loose, but he was down there. Michael Barrow makes the tackle. Another look at Kevin Green as we go to the break. It's to the minute. Rushing leaders Barry Sanders. Big day yesterday in Detroit's loss at Tampa Bay at 6:27. And Barry Foster with 1:15 tonight is now 2nd in the league, moving ahead of Bettis and Falk and Emmitt Smith.
Keep in mind, though, that figure for Emmitt Smith is through 4 games. Everybody else 5.
Sanders is on a pace to gain more than 2,000 yards as the ball is carried by Bam Morris up to the 42-yard line. Texas Tech rookie. Barry Sanders on a 2,000-yard pace. The NFL record is 2,105, set by Eric Dickerson, then a Ram in 1984.
There is Bam, but more importantly, I think Al Barry Sanders is the man who can do it. We've seen a lot of them come along and they rip off a lot of yardage, but he conceivably could go well beyond that. He is totally unique to this running game.
His ability to do that depends a lot on how effective Scott Mitchell is throwing the football.
Bam Morris.
He will make Scott Mitchell much more effective.
If he gets that kind of yardage, it's because Scott Mitchell has been finding Herman Moore, because the more effective that passing game, the more they will stop keying on Sanders. And you see where we'll be next Monday night at the Meadowlands. the Vikes, and the Gents. Your old stomping ground, your old club.
They were riding off the Giants back there. And Danny Reeves pulled them together. Lost one to New Orleans yesterday, one they could have won. Got a bad call late in that game.
Second down and 8. That's incomplete. Hastings was the intended receiver. Lewis with the coverage. I mean the call on Chris Callaway.
Unsportsmanlike conduct call. After the completion, there would have been a first and goal. And a misconduct call for spiking the ball.
Yeah, there was a lot of speculation that he must have said something to draw that penalty, that it must have been something verbal, but apparently not. It was just strictly a taunting call because of the spike, and the spike came too close to the defender. Tough deal.
3rd and 8 at the 43. And a nice throw. Initially, it appeared to be a great catch by Green, but he couldn't hold on. Coverage by Blaine Bishop.
There's a couple now that Eric Green could have handled. That one a little tougher than the one prior to that, but he just flat dropped. And Neil O'Donnell is looking at downfield at Green. Let's take a look at it again. Maybe a hand got in there. Ball was right on target. A little high, but I mean, he is high, up at 6'5".
Mark Royals to kick now. Line of scrimmage, 43-yard line. Ernest Gibbons back to accept the punt. And Gibbons, well, Ernest used to run back kicks. He's been forced into that role now because of injuries to other Oilers, and he lets it go, and they're pinned at the 2. 55 yards.
Art Woodson of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this man, Art Rooney, created a dynasty in NFL history. His Steeler teams brought 4 Super Bowl victories to his beloved Pittsburgh, and he remains the most loved man in the city of 3 Rivers. But Art Rooney and the Rooney family had an even greater living legacy. And for more than 20 years, the Steelers players who were United Way volunteers brought you NFL stories through the United Way TV spots. How many of them do you remember? Mel Blount introduced us to his daughter, Tamara, who is a teenage volunteer that helps senior citizens. Greg Lloyd showed us how Pittsburgh comes together through United Way programs like the Holy Family Institute. Merrill Hodge marched with the whole community to celebrate our victory in the Middle East War. Art Rooney taught us all that it's only in giving that we receive, and it's only in loving that we are loved. That's why I'm proud to be a part of the United Way tradition of caring and the Steeler legacy of giving. The United Way, reaching those who need help and touching us all.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
3-0 as the Oiler drive begins at the 2-yard line. Officiating crew, Larry Nimmers is the referee, getting together for a chat. We have 3:40 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Houston's field position tonight has been atrocious at best.
Abysmal at worst. Lorenzo White out to the 4, 2nd and 8. Kevin Green makes the tackle.
All night they've been backed up right close to their own goal line.
Just can't seem to float anything out of there, and it's just a tough deal for Houston tonight in the sense that some of it has been their own doing, a lot of it has been the superb play of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Bucky Richardson is going to have to get this ball up over the top somehow. Slamming it into the line with Lorenzo White. You got to do it to get a little breathing room, but to get back in this game, you're going to have to throw it.
And under pressure, he gets it away, and the catch is made by Haywood Jeffries, and it's a first down up at the 27-yard line. Tim McFire with the coverage.
He must have been listening to you, Dan, and he handled that well. He had a crowd around him, and he waited until Jeffries was able to drive the defensive back, and that is Tim McFire. It's him turned around, breaks it to the outside, and Richardson was there. Good execution. Haven't said that too many times tonight.
No.
At least for the Oilers.
2:40 left in the 3rd. On 1st and 10. Over the middle and through the hands of Pat Coleman. He was right there. He'd beaten Woodson, and he simply couldn't hang on to it.
Obviously one that should have been caught, had a lot on it.
Woodson overplays this to the outside, and Coleman is right there, and
you couldn't throw that any better.
No excuses for Pat Coleman.
I think Pat, it was thrown so well, he just took it for granted, was thinking about the run after he caught the ball and broke the concentration and lost it.
2nd and 10 at the 27-yard line. Woodson comes up to show blitz, but he backs off into coverage. Richardson scrambling, throws against the grain, and throws it away. 3rd down. We were talking about Woodson before. Rod, who, as we mentioned, has already been named to the all-time NFL team, is, if not the best cornerback playing today, clearly in the top 2 or 3. But he's been mildly critical of his own play this season. He says he's not real happy with the way he's performed individually.
Well, he gets so much single coverage,
yeah.
Dan, but he gets, I mean, they load him up. I mean, he is the man who gets the single coverage. And he was beaten by Brian Blades last week in Seattle and set up the Seattle touchdown. And he really does hold himself responsible for things that happen to this ball club.
3rd and 10, and here's the catch made in front of Carnell Lake by Pat Coleman. And his forward progress shouldn't have a 1st down.
One of the common denominators among all the great ones is how much they critique themselves and how they are open about their own inadequate performances sometimes. And Rod Woodson, not one of those guys that if he doesn't have a great game, can hide behind it. He chooses not to, and what a wonderful example that is for his teammates. A lot of times, really good players don't want to step up when they have a bad game. Rod Woodson isn't one of those guys.
White initially blocked Lloyd, then Lloyd came back. The pressure is on. The throw is incomplete. Lorenzo White had to step up to take care of Lloyd. He got him initially, but then Lloyd got back into the play, and Lloyd is still down on the turf.
Yeah, one thing about Greg Lloyd, as he's already shown tonight, if he misses on his first opportunity, he will be back. This is not a guy that just gives up, and it'd be easy to stay on the ground. Look at Lloyd. His torso never even hits the ground. That's, you know, this guy, relentless. Relentless is the word that comes to mind.
When it's over, he's put it right. 2nd and 10. 1:43 left in the 3rd. 23-0 Pittsburgh. Lorenzo White after the 40-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 8. Lloyd again.
Let's guess who makes that hit. One of the most active players in the National Football League.
Leading tackler from a year ago. Played in his first Pro Bowl with the 3-time Pro Bowler. Went back as a starter a year ago. He's everywhere.
And he's one of those guys that looks a lot bigger than he is. And he plays bigger than he is. He's 226 pounds. By today's standards, a little below average for a linebacker.
3rd down and 8. Flag. And this one's whistled dead. There's no play here. Movement by David Williams.
False start prior to the snap. 73 offense.
When you're in,
still 3rd down.
When you're in a 2-point stance, in other words, when your hand is not on the ground, it's a lot easier to just get that weight transfer started a little early and rock back in your stance. You'll see it a lot when they're up in that 2-point kind of a punch position. There's Williams at the bottom of the screen. Now what? See, that's all it takes. That is a false start. And you see it much more often when you're in that 2-pointer rather than when you got your hand on the ground.
Bucky Richardson changing the play. He was going from the shotgun, step back under the center.
3rd and 13. Green almost had the sack. Flag is thrown. Catch is made by Ernest Gibbons, short of the 1st down, but there's a marker down all the way back at the 30.
Well, David Williams at right tackle has more than he can handle tonight with Kevin Green. Kevin has every spark plug going tonight, and he...
Offense, number 77, 10 yards, repeat 3rd down.
The call's on Kevin Donnelly at right guard, but Bucky's flushed out of the pocket by Kevin Green, who moves to the inside. So multiple breakdowns here. Green has a strong upfield rush, but he's also got the strength to go inside. Here, look at the bottom. Starts to the outside, but then makes his decision to go back inside on Williams. Bucky barely gets away. Williams did a good job of staying with him, but this one comes back because the guy next to Williams, Donnelly, gets called for the hold.
3rd and 23. 4-man rush. They had to get into the 48 to convert. Lorenzo White, he's out past the 30, tackled at the 37, so it's 4th and 11. Woodson makes the stop in the waning seconds of the third quarter.
When you're an offensive lineman and a quarterback, and you are down 23-0 on the road at the end of the third quarter, that's as bad as football gets. The running game has been jettisoned. It has no meaning, and you are just battling a losing battle.
Camarillo kicks. Woodson picks it up on a couple of hops. 18-yard line.
Something about discretion being the better part of valor.
End of 3, 23-0. Back with Monday Night Football after this from our ABC station. Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf. Monday Night Football Week 5.
One of the big pluses of Monday night from a player's standpoint is that they know that all the other players in the league are at home watching their performance, and I think it's safe to say that Greg Lloyd and Kevin Green are making a pretty strong claim to a couple Pro Bowl positions.
Here is Van Morris. Yeah, they're already making the reservations for the Holly Kalani right now.
Boy, I love tossing you softballs like that.
Numbers through 3. Frightening numbers. 274 yards of offense for the Steelers, 158 for others, and they may get closer as the Steelers start to play a little softer on defense. 2nd and 6 up at the 22. Oh, Donald's going to put it up. Has a ton of time. Finds the wide open, humongous Eric Green. And he has a first down up at the 45-yard line.
That's a situation, as I was talking about on the Steelers' last possession, is that even though you've got a lead, you cannot ignore what is being offered to you. And if the Oilers are going to overplay the line of scrimmage, you've got to put the ball in the air. Outstanding pass protection by the guys up front, and nice touch by O'Donnell.
Oh, what a good look from our end zone camera. Exactly what O'Donnell was seeing. And it's kind of hard to miss Eric Green coming across the middle. What a great target he is. Talked about his size. Al referred to him as humongous. He is 6'5", and that is a great target. Here is Van Morris,
the Bamster.
Just make sure that Eric knows that humongous is good. They're not like notorious, you know.
We're nothing left undone tonight. We're on.
You have so much time to play.
There's a familiar face, especially for you Buckeye fans and Chicago Bears fans. Mike Tomczak, who backs up Neil O'Donnell. Been in the National Football League 10 years now.
Chicago, Green Bay, Cleveland, now Pittsburgh. At the 40-yard line, 1st and 10. Steelers on top. It's 23-0. Van Morris. Nothing doing. Lamar Lathan is there to make the tackle. I was talking to Dan Rooney, the owner of the Steelers, on the field tonight. We were looking at Van Morris, and I said, it's hard to believe he came as a 3rd-round draft pick. He said, we got to see more of that young man. That's about as much as you'll ever hear from Dan Rooney in a very positive way about this youngster. They've been surprised with just about everything he's done. You saw something right there a moment ago from a rookie covering up that football as he was in the traffic. 2nd and 1, blitz, and they pick it up, and Green fights his way to the 33-yard line. Blaine Bishop taken for the ride.
Well, Bill Cowher is such a believer in the running game, and he's working to his strengths. With the offensive line he has and with the backs he has, why not go ahead and run the football and minimize the number of times that Neil O'Donnell has got to put the ball in the air, especially with a big man like that blocking. But only 3 guys really carry the ball for the Steelers. And coming tonight, John L. Williams, a 5.8 per yard, yard per carry average. Morris 5.3 and Foster 4.2. That is excellent any way you look at it.
Here's Morris on 3rd and 2. He gets to the 28-yard line. But up until tonight, Williams had carried it 9 times, Wood Morris 14 times, and Foster almost 100 times. And he's been the horse.
We pointed out about once a month or so, but the average yards per carry is annually around 4, though this year it's been a little bit lower than that. 5.4 tonight, and that's outstanding. The average yards per rush in the league coming into this weekend, 3.8 this year.
And keep in mind, this is against a defensive team that is very hard to run against.
And Bam Morris with a little bit better than average gain, the way things have been going tonight for Pittsburgh.
They were number 1 against the rush a year ago in the entire National Football League.
A year ago now. Now, granted, they've lost some personnel. We talked about Fuller and Jones. The Oilers didn't allow a running back all season long to go over 100 yards. Now, to show that there's a difference this year, Falk has gone over 100. He had 143. Thurman Thomas went over 100. He had 112. And now tonight, the Steelers collectively with 177 yards rushing. This is a faltering Oiler defense that we're seeing right now against the run.
O'Donnell, intended for Thigpen.
We said earlier that they were number 1 against the rush a year ago, and there have been some personnel changes. Of course, we mentioned Sean Jones and William Fuller leaving, but they came into tonight 26th in the league against the rush after 4 games. That's a big fall off. And they didn't improve it tonight.
I guess the point that is becoming more and more obvious here, it is going to be difficult for this team to put together an 11-game winning streak.
3rd and 2. Bam Morris to the 16-yard line.
Well, they can say that we were 1-4 last year, and it appears that they will be 1-4 this year. But there are many, many differences between the 93 Oilers and the 94 Oilers.
Well, many injuries, too. We talked about that all night, but we mentioned Sean Jones, William Fuller, and a guy named with the number 1 on his back. He's throwing for somebody else, but he commanded, speaking of Warren Moon, of course, he made the run and shoot.
The way they're playing tonight, they may be hard-pressed to come up with a 2-game winning streak. The 16-yard line.
You better try to start with just 1.
O'Donnell and Yancey Thigpen is held up clearly by Darrell Lewis, and that's pass interference.
Well, Darrell Lewis is a fine cornerback, and you only do that when you're going to be beat for 6. And he was in danger of being beat for 6. Give him a little leg whip, I think.
Defensive pass interference, number 29, first down.
I believe he goes for the side sweep, the old soccer move here. Of course, Al's forte. Well,
again, he was in danger of being beat in the corner for 6 points, and he felt he just had to do this.
He really gets caught, and he slips, and there is a chop to the back of the legs of Yancey Thigpen. Tough night for everybody in Houston.
1st and goal. Hasn't been a touchdown in the game since the 1st quarter when the Steelers ran off 20 points. And there are your first points of the 2nd half as Bam Morris works his way into the end zone.
That's Bam's first touchdown, is it? Second. There'll be a lot more.
Bam leaves terra firma around the 3-yard line and lands about 2 yards in the end zone. Pretty good launch. Check this out from the goal line. There he goes from the 3.
Pretty good.
That's
like the Endeavor.
That's getting not only some vertical distance, but some longitudinal work as well.
Gary Anderson tacks on the point after. Bam Morris in for 6. Pittsburgh 30. Houston nothing. 30 means the end of the story in journalism. It's the end of the story.
Go! Is everybody using Duracell batteries?
You kidding? The second I heard they had a battery that outlasts all other brands, I bought the family a whole case.
Reminds me of the first time we tried Duracell batteries. We were living in Tulsa with your great Aunt Emma. We shared a one-room apartment.
Herb, did you slip her one of those other batteries?
Me?
The copper top tops them all.
Here's the rookie from Texas Tech, third-round pick, Bam Morris.
He's a load, too. 235-pounder.
Gary Anderson sends it downfield. Taken at the 8-yard line by John Henry Mills. He's taken out of bounds up the 24-yard line. 9:37 remaining in the fourth quarter. 30-0. Pittsburgh. Early.
It has come and gone.
Come and gone. From the 24-yard line. Bucky Richardson airs one out, and it is knocked down by Tim McKyer. Intended for Haywood Jeffries. Good coverage.
Tim McKyer playing for his 5th team in 9 years. Started out with the 49ers. Traveled down to Miami. Did a little time in Atlanta. Did a little time in Detroit. Still one of the fine cornerbacks in this league.
And that was an effective job by Haywood Jeffries of breaking up almost a sure interception. Jeffries doesn't get his hands on the ball and get his hands on McKyer's arms. That would have been another pick.
Here comes a blitz from Woodson. White picks him up. But then Woodson sheds that ball, and Bucky just flips one out. Incomplete.
Bucky's worth a little excitement. He will give you a thrill.
It's obvious that he does not go down easily.
Big favorite of the fans down in Houston when he came up as an 8th-round pick in '92. He worked on special teams. Just made this team on sheer hustle. There's Rod Woodson. You don't get away from him that often.
Well, actually, you
great effort to make an incompletion instead of a sack.
I think Woodson ends up with the sack, except he gets knocked off of Richardson by Carnell Lake, who was back there chasing him as well.
3rd and 10. The Buckster throws. The catch is made by Ernest Givens. Ernest Givens!
What a move!
Tackle, and we may see our first electric glide.
Oh, boy, and there goes a shutout. Oh, there goes a shutout on a missed tackle.
Gary Jones.
Yep, he goes for the headshot. And, boy, that drives a defense wild. They wanted a shutout badly, and it evaporates by that missed tackle by Gary Jones. Right here, he's coming from the right.
Oh, he didn't even touch it.
No.
A good look-see, too, as Givens takes it in by Bucky Richardson. He had a lot of time. Good protection in front of him.
I think
look to the left, look down the middle, and again a look at the miss by Jones, but good move.
I think Jones was just expecting Ernest Givens to step out of bounds.
Point after for Del Greco. I think that's the first time I mentioned we might see the electric glide. That's the little dance that Ernest does at the end of almost every touchdown reception. But when you're down 30-7, well, it ain't time for any John Travolta.
Well, keep those dancing shoes cool till later.
30-7.
Kevin McBride, the offensive coordinator, talking it over with Bucky Richardson. We're obviously going to see an onside kick. And what makes me think we're going to see an onside kick?
Well,
I'm really on top of it.
The fact the ball is on its side and the alignment's like this, the 12 people over here, has to go 10 yards. Oh, it's a nice, good. They got an onside kick, and they recover. It is picked up by Reggie Brown.
And you will never see a better kick.
Perfect. Just what you want to do, have it take that high hop. And so Jack, who thought the Pardee was over, well, all of a sudden they score. It's 30-7, and they have the ball back.
Del Greco with a perfect onside kick. Took a couple of bounce, hopped up in the air, gave his people time to get downfield. All the speedsters were there. Look at this.
Well, that's the AstroTurf bounce. You can count on that when you're attempting that onside kick. That's where artificial turf is the best friend of a kicker. You get that hard surface, and you can count on it after that first hop of going straight up in the air.
First and 10 at the 47-yard line. Bucky, incomplete. Pat Coleman, the intended receiver. Now, I'm not going to sit here and suggest that Houston has a chance to win this game because Pittsburgh has dominated. But
but I'm anxious to hear what you are going to suggest.
All I'm saying is it brings into play the new rules. For what it's worth, last year you're down by 23, you need 4 scores. This year, you need 3 scores. So, stay tuned.
And Houston is somewhat of an authority on big comebacks,
right? Yes, they are from the other end.
Unfortunately, from the wrong end.
Second and 10 at the 47. And Bucky goes down just about at the line of scrimmage in the arms of Green and Gerald Williams. Bill Cowher, third year as the head coach here after that long run and 4 Super Bowls for Chuck Noll. Cowher, the second youngest coach in the league at 37, only Dave Shula at 35.
Well, he brings, excuse me, Al, he brings a lot to this job, too. All those years under Marty Schottenheimer. 11-5, coach of the year his first season. Went to the playoffs, 9-7, a playoff team last year.
Third and 10, middle screen, and Lorenzo White juggled and has no chance to turn it into anything. Greg Lloyd first, and Joel Steve bangs him second.
He got popped pretty good by Greg Lloyd.
Well, Jack is just wondering, how can this be happening?
Lorenzo shouldn't have bobbled the ball to begin with, but once he did, what a superb job of concentration. He actually pins the ball up against his helmet with his right hand.
And the Oilers will punt it away on 4th and long. Steelers are going to be very concerned about a possible fake here. Camarillo sends it skyward, and the rookie Charles Johnson is back to receive it, and he fair catches it at the 9-yard line. Pittsburgh with it there. 7:33 remaining in the 4th. Pittsburgh 30, Houston 7. Stars and Stripes giving us that shot as the Steelers huddle up, trying to take as much time off the clock as they can. 7:33 remaining, 4th quarter. Steelers on top, 30-7. Again, Dan, we're in a situation where this game is not quite over.
Almost.
A couple of points short of being over. They're genius with the numbers here. From the 9, we just cover the earth, that's all. Sam Morris stopped for a loss of 1.
Watching this Pittsburgh Steelers team, November the 14th against Buffalo, back here in the Steel City. Have Houston coming up twice more in the schedule. Be interesting to see how things develop with them.
Well, Bill Cowher certainly has to, he will greet us with open arms. We can be sure of that. 5-0 now under Cowher's tenure as Mike Tomczak takes over quarterback, but 5-0 on Monday Night Football for the Steelers, reminiscent of days of old.
2nd and 11. And Morris takes it up to the 13-yard line. Monday night. Well, Don Shula, the first year of the package was 1970, and the great one won his first 7 appearances on this series. And then Tom Flores with the Raiders, 79 through 81, won 7 straight. And George Seifert won his first 6 outings on.
And
all those guys won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
A lot of Super Bowl appearances among that group.
3rd down and 6 at the 14-yard line. Mike Tomczak, he hits Yancey, Big Pen. And Big Pen takes Lane Bishop for a little waltz out to the 28-yard line.
Well, we documented early how slow the Pittsburgh Steelers have been in starting ball games, trailing in the first half of the first 4 games of the year, scoring only 3 points in the first quarter in their first 4 games, no points in the third quarter of any of their 4 games, and if anything comes out of this, Bill Cowher's got to be delighted of the way his team came out from the very beginning to play tough, hard-nosed football. This is the type of a game that can really launch a team into a nice streak.
From the 27. Funny because you're talking about launching a team. Last year when they beat Buffalo in the middle of November, you figured that was the launching pad. But the difference between that game and this one, that night they lost Barry Foster for the season.
Right.
I don't think Bill Cowher felt very confident. We talked to him last night. They lost to Seattle 30-13 last week, and yet statistically they beat Seattle in just about every possible way. And as he put it, we just kept shooting ourselves in the foot. And I think he felt that this was going to be the night this team came around. Eric Green came in late with a contract problem. Barry Foster was a question mark at the very beginning of the season. They've started slowly, but this is a fine football team. They're going to win a lot of games the rest of the year.
2nd and 14, Bam Morris. A spin move, a little power move, and he's up to the 36-yard line, tackled by Al Smith.
And I'll tell you what, this guy, Bam Morris, is going to help Barry Foster be even better than he is. It's good to be pushed, even if you're a great running back like Barry Foster is. This Bam Morris has impressed not only the Steelers, but anyone who's watched him.
The easiest way to win a football game is to dominate the line of scrimmage. The Steelers have dominated the line of scrimmage both offensively and defensively from the very beginning. You're right, Frank.
First drive.
And over 200 yards rushing in the National Football League is a big-time accomplishment.
3rd and a long one, and there's your short 4. The first down up to the 39-yard line.
You go over 125 yards rushing in this league, and that's good. You get to 150, and you can really feel nice about the way things have gone. You go over 200, you have had your way with your opponent.
Another thing about the Steelers being down, they were down 20-6 at halftime last week. Neil O'Donnell is a fine quarterback and could develop into a great quarterback. He does not usually throw the interceptions, but when you're down that far, you're desperate, and you throw a lot of balls in the air that you ordinarily wouldn't put in the air. That's why he had those 4 interceptions.
Bam Morris up to the 42. So let's see, all of the insiders will put Jack Pardee into their reports this week, right, as they did last year when he was 1-4, and everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, a few insiders had him getting fired, and Bud Adams came out and he said not a chance in the world. Anytime a coach goes 1-4, there goes his name into the reports during the week. A lot of airtime to fill.
Well, you look at that record, 43-25. You just don't forget how to coach. You don't lose the knack. You don't lose the ability to coach. What has happened to Jack Pardee and his Oiler coaching staff is they have lost a lot of players.
2nd and 7. Yeah, this is Steve Avery getting his first carry of the game.
Jack has had this team in the playoffs each of his 5 years. Got by the first round only once. And he's got a job on his hands this year. This team is really hurt by the free agency. We talked about Sean Jones, William Fuller, the 2 fine defensive ends with 23 sacks between them. Or rather 26 sacks between them. That's tough to lose.
2-minute warning. You warned.
The Steeler owner Dan Rooney, one of the class people in the National Football League, of course, a member of one of the great families of the National Football League, his father Art Rooney, the late Art Rooney. That wonderful man, a voice of reason, Dan, as you well know, throughout all the problems with the players over the years.
A real stabilizing influence.
Indeed.
And like you say,
great man to work for.
The Rooney family, a treasure here in Pittsburgh and a treasure in the National Football League circles. They have been a rock.
I've been fortunate myself. I worked for the Maras. They're very close with the Rooneys. They have meant so much to this National Football League. In his 75th year, you look back, some of the great landmarks, the turnarounds, the turning points in the league have been because of the Maras and the Rooneys.
Say one thing about Dan Rooney, he can pick him. Looks like his choice of Bill Cowher is right on.
Bam Morris doesn't get the first down.
Chuck Noll, the Hall of Fame coach who held forth here in Pittsburgh for so many years. Not an easy man to replace. Bill Cowher has stepped in, put his own stamp on this team. But funny how it looks an awful lot like the old Steeler running game. It's been a trademark of this franchise for decades, and
Bill Cowher made a
doesn't
good
look any
move
different.
when he reached out and tapped Ron Earhart, who believed in that power type running under Bill Parcells. He was with the Giants for 10 years. What we call it the Eastern Division of the NFC type offense.
Here's the kick by Royals. Fair caught at the 15-yard line there by Pat Coleman. And there's a flag down on the play. Jack O'Hara, the executive producer, and tonight's game was produced by Ken Wolf, so brilliantly as always, and directed by the unparalleled Craig Janoff. Our technical director, again minus any knuckle jobs tonight, was Joe Chavo. Our associate director, Jaime Bravo. Bob Simon, our production manager. Dennis Zabo and Jim Licata, our tech operations manager. Fred King and Brian Gordon, always doing their great work. Steve Hurt.
They do.
The master of information. Statistician George Hill. Spotter Malibu Kelly Hayes. Mark Amento, Brian Movelson, Bill Monahan, Andrea Bryant. Filling out our production crew.
And thanks to our production crew, who's unparalleled. The engineering guys, from the trucks to the cameras to the tapes. It's I never get over how good the pictures are.
They'd like to hear
glad
that.
to be here.
They'd like to hear that some night when it's not 30-7 in the fourth quarter. They are extraordinary. They have been over 25 years we've been doing this on Monday night.
Everything's better when it's not 30-7.
20-yard line, fair caught again here by Pat Coleman. So the Oilers, with 59 ticks remaining, take over.
A long flight back to Houston.
So we have another flight. It has the look of a penalty, even though I didn't see a flag.
Motion, number 53 of the kicking team, 5 yards, still fourth down.
Well, we're going to do it again and again and again.
It's kind of nice to have that bye, but not after suffering a loss like this, as the AFC Central will be going into their bye week.
Next week, Minnesota and the Giants. It's our first visit to Giant Stadium since 1992 for a Monday Night Football game. Vikings and the Giants.
And Al, I guess you're leaving to get started on the World Series?
Yes, I was the mini playoffs first. That's right. Little baseball would have started the
playoffs would have started tomorrow.
The expanded playoff round would have started tomorrow, right here on ABC.
check your local.
Check your local listings. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. We have a punt, but we have a whistle.
Royals is
delayed offense, 5 yards, still fourth down.
Royals is now going to kick it for the 4th time. That'll wipe the smile off a coach's face.
I know they just burned 6 seconds off the clock on that no play there. Speaking of baseball scores, the Falcons yesterday over the Rams 8-5. It's the first time a game ever wound up 8-5 in the history of the NFL.
It's kind of amazing, isn't it, when you think of some of the low scores early in the history of the NFL?
Well, keep in mind, before the 2-point conversion, that would have involved a safety being scored by both teams to get to that 8-5. Another penalty.
You could have gotten 8-5, and anybody but Steve Hurt would have discovered that.
Well, maybe. Whoever
False
7-5.
start prior to the snap, 53, offense, 5 yards, still fourth down.
How do we know Steve Hurt is right?
If he's not, for the last 20 years, you can just scratch it from the record.
I mean, but how do we know?
Well, let's try this. How about the 6th attempt at a punt by the Pittsburgh Steelers? Steve Hurt, keep track of this.
I've lost track of this.
We may be going for the record.
Ooh. Fair catch call for it. The 37-yard line. 52 seconds remaining. Pat Coleman And no flags. Bobby April says thank you very much.
Congrats.
Steve Hurt could have something really going, you know. He could just make it up, and who would know?
Oh, the shadow would know. The shadow would definitely know.
Al would know. He'd stumble over it during those endless hours during the week.
During a lot of those phone calls. First half Houston from the 37-yard line. Bucky Richardson. And the catch is made by Haywood Jeffries. He gets out of bounds at the 47. We have a few friends on the edges of their seats right now. Most unusual scores. Well, 4 points happened one time. You'd have to have 2 safeties. 11 has come up 12 times.
Sure.
Yep.
I would have thought that it would have taken more than a 30-7 ball game to get that on the screen. We went deep into the archives for that.
We have a lot of friends who'd like to see the score 30-10 here. Here goes Bucky.
I think just as many that wouldn't.
Yeah, right. You're exactly right. Bucky's out of bounds at the 35. You're right. It's right down the middle.
Yes.
34 seconds.
A long charter flight back to Houston, Texas tonight for the Oilers. They don't get back into Houston until about 4:30 this morning, and I've certainly been there. I know what they're feeling, and it's not good. In fact, I've been there a lot.
From the 35, Bucky throws, and the intended receiver was Ernest Gibbons, and it was busted up.
Yeah, the aches and the bruises are a lot deeper, aren't they?
Oh, they sure are.
They could laugh off with the win. Really hurts.
You're looking at a group of guys playing for Houston that have worked just as hard as the guys from Pittsburgh from the start of training camp. Their commitment has been no less. Their labors on the field have been no less. And yet here they are looking at a 1-4 start and up against a proverbial wall. It hurts.
And with the team in their division, Cleveland off to a 4-1 start. 2nd and 10. That's the team they play next.
Bucky throws. The catch is made by Haywood Jeffries. He has it to the 14-yard line. Gary Jones makes the tackle, and Jeffries says timeout.
Yeah, that's the, from a Pittsburgh standpoint, that's the beauty of what they've done tonight. Not only have they accomplished a great deal as far as what they set out to do as a team, but they have really hammered what they view as their biggest division rival in the Houston Oilers. This is definitely the old saying, 2 birds with 1 stone. They've helped themselves and they have hurt Houston. And
Houston
now
beat
I think
them twice last year.
That's exactly right. So now I think Pittsburgh, wisely so, I think, should everyone in the AFC Central turn their attention to the Cleveland Browns. They're off to a 4-1 start, and Bill Belichick has that club really moving in the right direction, although they were dealt quite a blow today. As understand, talking to Bill Belichick, that touchdown Tommy Bardell had to have surgery today. And that's a real loss for the Brownies.
14 seconds to play. Steelers come on a blitz. Catch is made at the 4, and just stepping out of bounds is Webster Slaughter at the 2 with 8 seconds. 1st and goal.
Well, give this Oiler offense credit. They're still trying. It's a moot point in the 1-loss column, but they're still trying to get it in the end zone.
You touched on it a moment ago.
Great look, guys.
They never stop trying. It's just so frustrating when it doesn't come together.
1st and goal. Richardson throws quickly. Catch made. Touchdown. Haywood Jeffries.
And it's over now.
You bet it's over. Definitely.
5 seconds left on the clock.
Bucky right on target.
some places in Vegas, they think they were testing out in the desert again, just about getting right.
Can't draw me in on these ones.
Oh, no. Two rooms were shaken. 30-13 is the score, and Larry Nemers is not going to let it.
Pittsburgh, that's their first team timeout. It'll be a 40-second timeout.
Well, I guess the Steelers didn't have enough guys on the field, or too many, or whatever.
A 40-second timeout.
How about one too many? Yeah, they did. They had 12 out there. Bobby April, he's had some good special teams play tonight.
Meanwhile, let's update the standings for you. Central, Cleveland 4-1 after their win yesterday over the Jets. Steelers go to 3-2. Oilers are now 3 back, and the Bengals remain winless.
And Houston and Cleveland will play a week from this coming Thursday. And it's obvious that Houston could use as much time as they could get to heal some of their aching and creaking bodies.
Del Greco, point after.
Pittsburgh's win over Cleveland earlier 3 weeks ago was at Cleveland, so the next Cleveland meeting will be here at Three Rivers Stadium. It should work for the Steelers. They're tough here. And we'll have a chance to look at another onside kick.
Oh, goody. Or 3 or 4 of them.
As long as we're here, let's look at something interesting. Del Greco very good at it. Both special teams huddling on either side of the field.
Del Greco, one of the might be the best golfer in the National Football League.
He is good.
Yes, he's wins a lot of money in a lot of the those celebrity golf tournaments that they play for money that Frank, neither you nor I has ever been invited to, nor ever will.
You know, Al, if you'd put in as many hours in your golf game as you put in a football game, you could get invited to a few of those tournaments.
If I could get off the phone, I would do that.
If I'd get off the phone.
Yeah, if you put just half of 60 hours into your golf game.
Al admitting to a Pittsburgh writer that he invests 60 hours a week in his preparation for
not 59
a Monday night game, and
not 62, but 60.
Mere words can't express how impressed the entire production crew here has been at the work ethic of our Emmy award-winning play-by-play man.
Takes me 20 to check out all of the O&U's around the country.
Al, all I do is work Michaels.
Well, Dwight Stone is he's gonna attempt to take all the time off the clock.
You got it.
He does it. He'll probably get fined for having his shirt out too. Well, gang, the Steelers scored early and often. Led 20-0 at the end of one, 23-0 at the half, and win it 30-14. On we go to East Rutherford, New Jersey. It's Minnesota against the Giants next Monday. Until then, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, Lynn Swan. Good night from Pittsburgh.